Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Westwood, and I'm here today with commentary editor Conn Carroll. And Conn, this past week, the Congressional Progressive Caucus found itself embroiled in something of a controversy over a letter they wrote to Biden about Ukraine. Get us up to speed about what happened.
So I invite everyone to read this letter. You can find it at the Washington Examiner. It's a very non-controversial, reasonable letter. It starts off praising Joe Biden for everything he's done for Ukraine, fighting the aggressive, terrible Russia regime. And all it asks is for Biden to, at some point, give diplomacy a chance, that there has to be a negotiated settlement at some point, which is something Biden has already said, as quoted in the letter. The problem is that this immediately turned into a huge controversy, mostly on just the Democratic side. And by the very next day, less than 24 hours later, the Congressional Progressive Caucus had to retract the letter, pretend they never saw it, which is just ridiculous. Now, this all happened because we're coming up on an election, a midterm election. Democrats aren't doing well. And so one of their closing arguments is that Republicans are a threat to democracy, and that Kevin McCarthy in particular is pro-Putin. And so what happened is, the week earlier, Kevin McCarthy had given an interview to Axios in which he said that if Republicans take over the House, there would no longer be a blank check for Ukraine. That's it. That's all he said. That there would be some oversight, that they wouldn't be able to get as much money as they wanted. And so Joe Biden and the Democrats then took that and tried to, like I said, make Kevin McCarthy the pro-Putin party. And so by issuing this letter just less than a week later saying that Biden should also pursue diplomacy, the Progressive Caucus accidentally undercut Democrats' argument on that sense. And that's why there was this gigantic blowback.
Isn't it sort of a bad thing for Democrats if they're so paralyzed by this sort of partisan view of the Russia conflict that they seemingly can't have a debate about what the future of the Ukraine-U.S. relationship should look like?
It's bad for more than just the Democrats. It's bad for the entire country, right? If no party is allowed to say, hey, maybe Ukraine and the United States interests don't overlap 100%. Maybe Ukraine shouldn't be assassinating Russian civilians. If all dissent over what Ukraine decides to do with our money is completely not allowed, then that's definitely bad for the country. And I mean, the progressives have long played a role in the Democratic Party of questioning some establishment areas on foreign policy, areas that they often agree with conservatives. Bernie Sanders and the Progressive Caucus worked with Republicans like Senator Mike Lee to fight Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen. And so there's definitely a voice of anti-interventionism that is necessary, needed from both the progressive and the conservative side. And if Democrats are going to shout progressives down just for partisan purposes, that's just a bad direction for the country.
And do you think that congressional Republicans are serious about potentially cutting off the massive amounts of aid that the U.S. has been giving to Ukraine?
I don't think they're looking to cut it off. Absolutely not. I do think that there is a lot of concern about where all this money is going, the lack of oversight that is for the money, where it is going, but also some of the tactics that Ukraine is employing. Again, there was coverage that Ukraine has gone ahead and assassinated some Russian civilians. Is this something we want to be associated with? Is this something we want to fund? And I think those are very legitimate questions that both parties should be raising.
Well, Conn, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
You can get more writing from Conn and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.